So hi, I'm David Polfeldt. We're here at South by Southwest talking about The Division.
So let's talk about what your goals were heading into the creation of this open world RPG shooter.
Oh, we wanted to do so many things. First of all, we wanted to make a fantastic game, of course, a very, very beautiful game. And then we wanted to pick up on the themes from Clancy, which is plausibility, and also identify this clear and present danger that feels a little bit uncomfortable. We wanted to create this big, open, long journey for gamers to discover.
Let's talk a little about what's going on in the world as people step into this Christmas Day environment.
Okay, so the idea of The Division is that imagine that it's just before Christmas and you're on Manhattan. Either you live there or you work there or you're there as a tourist. And then people start falling ill. So quickly you realize there's a virus and it's a very aggressive virus and people are dying from it. And then to make things worse, Manhattan is shut off. So it's sealed off from the rest of the world and left to its own devices. And of course, after a couple of days, you start running out of water, electricity, and people are hungry and people are desperate. And so only a few days ago it was Christmas, but now you're suddenly there in this desperate situation alone on Manhattan with a bunch of other people who are also stuck there. And what happens in the game is that you're a sleeper agent and you're activated, and you're told that you have to do what you can on Manhattan. We need to restore order, we need to save what can be saved, and you need to basically act as the sheriff and help people.
Can you talk about how big this open world that people will be exploring is? Just give us a sense of scale.
No, I can't. No, I won't at the moment, no.
When it comes to balancing that open world versus RPG and story, talk a little about how you guys achieve that.
Okay, so that's one of the more tricky questions because as a writer you want to control the sequence of the narrative, but in an open world you want to control your choices. And that, I think, is a very fine and difficult balance to find, where we want the world to be open. So we want gamers to be on Manhattan and say, hey, I want to do this, I want to go in that direction, or I want to go in that direction. This seems like it needs my attention, or I'm going to ignore that problem, I'm going to do this instead. So that's what an open world means. It means choice and progression. It's very difficult for a writer to write a good story because they don't know in what sequence you will experience the events. So the trick for them is to create a dramatic curve regardless, and that, I think, is extremely challenging.
Can you give us a sense of some of the different environments people will be able to explore in this Manhattan?
What's interesting with Manhattan when it comes to environments is that there's the known Manhattan, of course. So you're walking on the streets and you see, the buildings as you expect them to, and the monuments and everything. And that in itself, I think, is a very beautiful experience. But what we discovered when we were researching Manhattan is that there's a huge part of the city that is underground. And I don't just mean the subway. There are many, many other things that are going on underground in New York. And people who live there, apparently. And we've been down to these places and we've been filming and we've been taking photos. And it's a part of New York that you've never seen.
And one that people will be exploring in this video game.
Yes, of course.
When it comes to New York, what is it that makes that a unique environment for exploration?
What's good with New York, I think, is that it's so well known, first of all. So people have a clear idea of what New York looks like when it's pristine, when it's its normal self, when things are working and when the cars are on the streets and when there's tourists and lights and everything. And that is a really, really interesting illustration for us, because we want people to feel that, wait, it's not as it should be. It's falling apart, it's collapsing, and it's different. So we needed a very known image, or an icon almost, like New York, that is known by almost the entire planet, for people to experience the decay also.
Can you talk about the research that you guys put into the story aspect and how scary, the potential for something like this is?
There's a lot of research that we've done on New York, first of all, and that, I think, was a fantastic, mostly fun experience, apart from some of the more scary parts beneath the city. But we've done a lot of research with CIA, with FEMA, with experts, and that part has been super interesting. The part that is scary is that when you start studying these topics, you realize that the modern society is quite fragile, actually. And as was seen in this Dark Winter exercise that was done in the States, which is about how would the government react if there was an outbreak of a very aggressive virus on U.S. soil. And what they found in those exercises was that they cannot control it. They lose control. And the more I study these things, the more paranoid I get, unfortunately.
Can you give us a sense of how you guys at Massive in Sweden work with other studios like Red Storm in Raleigh to create a game like this?
Yeah, first of all, hats off to Red Storm. I remember playing the classic Clancy games just as a fan, and I love them. And it's a real privilege now to be working with them as a partner. So that's a really cool kind of twist on this journey. Then what happened with us when we were acquired by Ubisoft was that we realized that there's this incredible network of very smart people who are working on games all across the world. And you could suddenly just pick up the phone and ask a guy like, hey, Tony, do you know how to do this? And the person at the other end would be friendly and helpful. And then you realize he's in Shanghai, or he's in Raleigh, or he's in Toronto. And that changed quite a lot how we work with games, because it's like being part of this internal Wikipedia.